So if you've been watching my videos or you follow me on Instagram, you know that I have been a little wax myrtle crazy. And so I've been using or connecting with wax myrtle in many different ways. It's one of my favorite native herbs, and I've used it, connected with it. It's hard to say use. But I used it to make this candle. The way to connect with wax myrtle is to do a steam, to distill the oils. And I have this beautiful hydrosol here. And so I'm completely new to steam distillation, and I love it. It's a very interesting and fun process, and I have a lot to learn. I feel like it's a whole nother world. And I want to introduce you to my teacher, who taught me how to do steam distillation. His name is James Brock. Let me tell you who James is. James is a world musician. He travels around the world and he plays drums and tablas and all kinds of cool instruments. And he's also a plant alchemist, and he practices with plants and uses the different energies of the plants and the moon. And I won't get too much into it because I don't want to steal your thunder and you're going to tell us. But James is just this extraordinary plant alchemist, and he has so much wisdom. So I'm very thankful that he's here today and just going to share some of his knowledge with you and kind of tell us how he got on this path. How did your connection with plants begin?
So I've always been sort of a big church guy. I was always tied to spiritual things of all sorts. So when I was about 19, maybe 20 years old, I felt this huge draw to plants and herbs and things. When I was a kid, I'd go to the grocery store with my mom. We'd always go to these little hippie markets, so I'd see all these herbs and barks and little flowering heads and leaves and things in these jars, and I was just a little kid. I didn't know any of that stuff was at the time, but it always seemed like this really sacred thing, and so as I grew up, something really like tugged on me, from the inside, and so one day I went into the market and I just started like buying stuff, all kind of plants. I ended up walking out of there with probably 60 bags of different things and all these little plastic bags. They were all labeled, and I took that stuff home not knowing what any of it was or what any of it did, and ended up going to a couple of used bookstores and finding some books on herbalism and medicine. And for months I would just I'd get off work, or I'd get off of a gig, and I'd go home and I'd just start writing all this stuff down. I just had papers everywhere, and books were laying everywhere. Everything was open, and I just went down this herbal rabbit hole. Countless hours to this point. So I've spent a lot of time learning this stuff, sort of in my own headspace, and on my own time. And I would go on these walks and just sort of commune with God and listen to nature, watch pay attention to the plants and listen to which ones are sort of calling out in these deep, subtle ways. And again, I'd take pictures of them. Some plants would call out so hard, I would just take it home and study it later,
So let's talk about plant alchemy. So you probably see this amazing equipment, and you should have seen it last night when he did the workshop. And if you ever get a chance to do a workshop with James, I would run to it. But this whole table, I'll try and put a picture in this video, but this whole table was covered with amazing equipment and plant alchemy, different devices. And how did you get started in steam distillation? But I feel like that is only one part. This plant alchemy and transforming the medicine on so many different levels.
Yeah. I started off first making teas. I did that for a long time. It was a great way to get started. Even simple decoctions are amazing medicines in our world, right? So, I moved from teas to tinctures. Tinctures was sort of a little too weird in the beginning for me, but I started to understand it. How the alcohol was, pulling all these medicines, drawing them out of the plants at this whole other kind of level, and I started to kind of see the real benefits of doing that. And so just like anything else, one thing sort of leads to another. I'm trying to draw these things out of these plants and work with them, and essential oils is a big part of this art, and this healing. And I started studying that stuff and reading books and watching videos, and I started seeing all this glassware. I'm like, wow, this is just beautiful. It'd be nice to have something in the house, like this, and of course a lot of the films and stuff that I grew up with, all the magicians and all the hippie magic folk, that's kind of what they were using in this stuff. So I've always kind of had a little, I was always drawn to cool glassware and things. So I went and found one, and there's this little garden shop in Charlotte, and started distilling oils.
Wow, I'm surprised that a garden shop had this kind of equipment.
Yeah.
You got lucky. Because
Totally,
the garden shops don't usually carry this.
They had one, and I think it sat there for several years. Nobody ever bought it. And I took that, got that thing home and just started distilling everything. Finding out what had a lot of oil, what didn't have a lot of oil, and I've distilled ridiculous amounts of oil in these glass rigs, and watch this thing for hours. You see the sweat, you see it sweating, and you see these little molecules. They're moving over and collecting, and there goes a little guy right there.
Yeah, that's really cool. That was good timing.
Like a slide.
And then it's going down the condenser. Wow, it was cool. It's very fascinating. I could see how you could get addicted to looking at that.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of like when I took a fern class and I got addicted to looking at the sori. Spores, on the back of the fern.
Oh yeah. This stuff takes a long time. So if you like these watching these processes, it's kind of like having a cool lava lamp or something in the house.
Yeah.
Sort of like a little ornamental piece that or like a little fountain or something. So you can kind of leave it and do stuff throughout the day and kind of meditate on what's going on and thinking about it. And this stuff works in your inner world too. Where things are happening on a spiritual level in these processes. So in this art, you can always go further. Nothing is thrown away. All parts are used. There's always further extractions out of these other fractions. So typically what I do is I would take what's left in the alembic and ferment it and start moving my way deeper into the medicine. So there's always much more to be done depending on how far you want to go.
It's amazing. So you have to take a workshop with James, because to fully understand, so he uses the hydrosol in amazing ways, the plant material, and the oil is just one component, which I find fascinating. And then at the end, he combines all the medicine together. And it's extremely therapeutic. From what you're telling me, that a lot of people that come to you for healing, you've had amazing results with your medicine. Mm-hmm. And also you were telling me that when you make it, not according to the days and with the planet, alignment with the planet, that the medicine's different.
Absolutely, yeah. You can really feel these energies working, in all the different aspects. If you make a full, philosophical preparation, you'll know it. Absolutely, there's without a doubt. I've taken the same plant, two different fractions, made one philosophically, and sort of made one, scribbling all outside the lines, doing all on whatever day, and there is a difference, absolutely. Healing needs to be in the hands of the people. This needs to come back into our traditions of, yeah, I mean, as much as I can teach, as much as I can share and spread, you know, I'll do so.
Awesome.
So yeah,
I would love to have you.
There's no distance, you know. So.
Did you hear that? There's no distance. So no matter where you are watching this video, if you think you have people that would be interested in learning this work, definitely contact James, and I'll put your contact information if that's okay.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
James is amazing. I hope you enjoyed that interview. So now I'm gonna strain this hydrosol, which a lot of people say is the spirit of the plant. And I'm gonna put it in a spray bottle and use it for my face, and I'm gonna use some in a bath right now. So it's a lot of fun, and I'm glad I could share it with you. But if you wanna learn more, I highly recommend contacting James Brock or finding someone that can teach steam distillation, because I'm just a beginner. So